Hello, how are you? What's up? Hope you're doing fine. I'm here again, yes, with another word from Jesus, and I'm excited about it. So, this one is about me being self critical. I find myself being self critical in different increments in my walk with the Lord, and people always tell me about it. Like, I see, you're too hard on yourself. And sometimes it happens, and I'm not even aware, and sometimes I'm going on and on and on and it's only after a while that I catch myself and I realize that I'm being self critical. So there was a particular season where I was just over analyzing and overthinking. It's like, oh, maybe when I said that, they thought that. Or maybe when I did that, they felt that way. And I was just kind of beating on myself and punishing me. And this went on for weeks before I got a hold of it, a grip of it, and it wasn't just me getting a grip of it, it was really the Lord that shook me out of it because I heard his voice in the midst of being critical. He said, just interrupting my thought, rejoice in your weakness. And I just kind of had to put back, make a boast in your weakness, rejoice in your weakness. And then I recognized that, oh, it's a scripture. So I went to the word and I'll read it from you. It's from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, from verse 9 and 10. It says, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, so that the power of Christ may rest on me. So it's not just that I'm glorying in my infirmity because I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm weak in this area, so I'm excited about it. No, I'm glorying in it because it is in that now the power of Christ, because I recognize that it's not within me myself, but it is Christ that now lives inside of me. And there's the other scripture that says, I am now crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ that lives in me. So this is pretty much similar where it says his grace. He said, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, pleasure in reproaches, pleasure in necessities, pleasure in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. So, of course, this is not always a nice thing to. It doesn't feel nice all the time, but I want to give a analogy because of a situation that I found myself in. So I was walking through a forest of pine cone trees, and all of the cones were falling on the ground. And because I like how the pine cones shaped, I didn't want to mash it, but the thing is that it was inevitable because it was like the whole floor was just covered in pine cones. And of course, some were already crushed. But I was trying to avoid crushing it with my feet. And at the moment I recognized that it's inevitable, I decided to crush one of them. And I realized, like, wow, it's even more beautiful when it's crushed. It was interesting because I really love how it looks when it's whole, but it was so much more beautiful when it was crushed to me. And then another thing that came to my mind as I thought about this whole thing of being self-critical was soursop leaves or bay leaves. When they're dried, the scent is like it smells like it's like a regular leaf, no smell, no good looking form or anything like that. But when you break it, the fragrance is so potent, so strong. It's almost as if it just reactivate everything there. And that just kind of reminds me of how it is before the Lord, that when we are broken before the Lord, when we acknowledge our weaknesses, when we glory in our weaknesses before the Lord, that's when his fragrance comes out. That's when his beauty comes out. His power now rests on us. And I really like that. That's so cool. It's not like if you're excited about having a bunch of weaknesses, and because of course we want to be able to grow in God. We don't want to be in one place for the rest of our lives. We want to overcome. But in the meantime, if there are areas in our lives that He's telling us, glory in your weakness, then just obey. Just do it. Because it is then we are now putting ourselves in dependence on His strength. Dependence, because the word says, for when I am weak, then I am strong. When you are weak, then by the power of Christ, you are strong.